Playing it all tonight.
Welcome into the M&M State of Sports podcast. I will not be playing Warzone tonight to answer Nick's question to start off. We are recording on Thursday, January 20th. Stash Cuddy's taking a little vacay with the wife down to Disney. So we're getting this episode in. There's no weekly wrap up. Really quick before we get into our argument between Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates. Morgan will have Tony. I'll have Antonio. I want to tell you guys, we are up to 28 subscribers on YouTube. So we smashed our number 25. I still owe John Smith a bottle of Kraken rum. I think once we get to 30, I think it's time to break out another bottle of Kraken rum. That being said, don't be afraid to be 29 because maybe you'll get a little special gift from us.
And also, Jack, you're going to get that bottle of rum. But if any of you fucking clowns create a different profile to get a free bottle of rum, it's not going to fucking happen.
I don't care. Pump those numbers up.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, pump those numbers up.
I respect it.
Shit, I mean, I might start doing that. Just make a bunch of fake YouTube accounts and start following us.
I'm going to make a bunch of them and just get rum for myself. My wife's going to probably divorce me. So
yeah, whatever. That's all right. That being said, go follow us on all of our socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, M&M SOS Pod. Now I can ask the gentlemen how they're doing. Stash Cuddy, it's almost vacation time for you. How you living? I'm
mentally checked out completely, so I'm just ready to go.
Perfect. Morgan, aka Jimmy G, is a bum.
I'm anxious for the game, ready for it to happen, but we'll see
Morgan,
where we go.
I need a realistic win percentage of how you think the Packers, what their chances are.
I think we're probably about 65%.
That was way lower than I thought you were going to say.
He's a realist.
I'm probably one of the realist Packers fans.
Greatest athletes of the year.
When it comes to my team, though, I'm pretty much a realist because San Fran does pose a lot of tough matchups for pretty much anybody left in the playoffs. They run the ball well. They're very physical.
They're just a good football team.
They're problem starters.
But I think we can match up, and it's supposed to be about 7 degrees at kickoff.
Degrees. Love it.
So that helps us. And Jimmy G's dealing with a torn ligament in his thumb and a sprained shoulder. So got to make him throw the ball. And
the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
Tore his labia.
We're getting healthy, so I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah. I think so too. I'm excited for it. I hope it all goes well. And I honestly, in the pick of Morgan and I are doing with John Smith and crew, I took the Niners. So this is a win-win for me. Either I win money or they're happy. So,
So it's funny. Initially, my first type was 49ers.
Was it really?
I always fade the Packers in the playoffs because I never want to bet on them because then I get doubly pissed if they lose.
Not only do you lose money, you also your team just fucking got spanked.
Yeah.
That's never good.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Nick, it's your hosting. It's Morgan and I putting the Dukes up, going at it. I'm ready.
Yep. All right. Two good athletes. Admittedly, of the athletes we've debated in the past, I am less familiar with these two. So I'm going to let you guys educate me on these guys. But nonetheless, Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez, both really fucking good tight ends.
Yep.
All-timers.
Doing a little digging. I've got an idea of which direction the argument will sway in, but I'm not going to let that sway me.
Fair.
I'll let you guys do that. So who wants to go first?
Morgan's got the upper hand. Let him go first.
All right, Morgan, with Tony Gonzalez. Let's hear it.
I'll keep it kind of short because I could go on and on about all his records he has in the NFL. I'll save that for later. He's got quite a few. Tony was a 17-season veteran, 12 years with the Chiefs, 5 with the Falcons, a 14-time Pro Bowler, 6 All-Pros. He played 270 games, of only which he missed 2.
Very durable.
Also, in his California high school days, he was co-high school athlete of the year, along with, I don't know if you heard of this guy, Tiger Woods.
He rings a bell.
Yeah. He was on the All 2000s team. And, one of the craziest things I came across that I didn't realize is in his 17 seasons in his 15,000 plus yards he had and his 1,327 touches.
All
in
the women
NFL.
we don't want to talk to.
The man only fumbled twice.
That's very impressive.
Which is something that baffled me when I saw it.
That's efficient.
That is unreal for how long he played and how good he was to only fumble twice. That's wild. But I'll save all the records for later. But he was a dual sport athlete in college, so
yeah,
he was very, very athletic.
Very, very athletic. So this is, I am behind the 8 ball on this, and it's tough because I was like trying to come up with an argument in my head about how I could potentially sway Nick, and it's really hard with it's a daunting task. Like to look at Tony's records and be like, how can I, beat this? But my argument is going to be based off the expectations that both of these guys had coming into the NFL. Tony Gonzalez was a first round pick taken at 13. The career he had, he was one of probably the top tight end prospects ever to be, drafted coming out. The career he was supposed to have, he had. Antonio Gates was supposed to never have the career that he had. He was a college basketball player. He didn't play a down of college football. He literally was an undrafted free agent signed to the San Diego Chargers, now Los Angeles Chargers at the time. And in his career, he ended up being the all-time leader in touchdowns for a tight end. That's not expected for a dude that literally played fucking MAC college basketball. And in college basketball, he was no slouch. I'll get into all that records and stuff. I know Tony played in college as well. The one argument that I'm going to get a head out in front of Morgan is he's not in the NFL top 100, which is a fucking shame because he literally has better stats than Mike Ditka, John Mackey, and Kellen Winslow. I understand the impact those guys had on the game, but you're not going to have the all-time leader in touchdown receptions at the position of tight end in the NFL top 100. Kind of a joke to me, to be honest. He played his entire career with the San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers, which, Tony can't say. He was a 15-year veteran, 3-time first-time All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler. He was also with Tony on the NFL 2000s All-Decade team. And obviously, he was on the San Diego Chargers 50th anniversary team. That's well. I'll go from there.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Antonio Gates, did you just say, I might have missed it, is he or is he not in the Hall of Fame?
He's not eligible yet. I believe.
Yeah, he isn't. Yeah,
he will be.
He'll get in.
He will walk. He will walk in as a first ballot
so.
Hall of Famer.
He'll get in.
You said he made the All 2000s team, so I assume he will. So.
Yeah.
All right. Who's taking the first jab?
He kind of took it from me, but not being on the top 100 team of all time is.
He ain't mild you. Yeah.
They only put 5 tight ends on that list, and Tony Gonzalez is arguably the greatest tight end of all time.
Correct.
No offense to Gronk, but the stats that Tony Gonzalez put up was way better, and he didn't have Tom Brady throwing him the football.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big one.
So,
yeah, the NFL top 100, the more I've looked at the team, the more I've realized how much of a fucking joke it actually is all time. I understand you have to put the older guys in there, but you're like I said, you're not going to have the guy who leads tight ends in career touchdowns in the NFL top 100. Slap in the face, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
Like, what kind of list do you have that doesn't have the all-time leader on it for something?
Well, it's probably a little bit political, not in the political sense. But,
and the most impressive thing about this is obviously, Antonio, was on good teams. Same with Tony Gonzalez. He had, Phillip Rivers for the majority of his career, probably all of his career. Now that I'm he had Breeze for a little bit. So looking at his records, look at his records and stuff. He did have a 13 touchdown season, which led the league for tight ends. He had multiple seasons where he led the league in tight end stats. He has around, I think my math is correct, around 400 less receptions than Tony Gonzalez and still has more touchdowns, which is very impressive. Played a few years less than Tony. Obviously, that's to his detriment. But I do want to talk about him as a basketball player. He was a better basketball player than Tony Gonzalez was.
Where did he play in college?
Antonio Gates?
Yeah.
Kent State, baby.
Kent State.
Yep. Are you ready why I'm going to say he's a much better basketball player than Tony Gonzalez?
No, I understand that. He definitely is.
Okay. Well, I believe it is in his senior year. It was his junior year. I apologize. His senior year, he was a honorable mention for All-American honors, averaging 28 0.6 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. But his junior year, when little Kent State made the tournament, they made it to the Elite Eight as a 10 seed. On the way to the Elite Eight, they upset Oklahoma State 69-61, number 2 seed Alabama 71-58, and number 3 seeds Pittsburgh 78-73. That's incredible for a team from the MAC that was led by Antonio Gates, essentially, which is very impressive. He also has his college basketball jersey number retired, which is, very impressive. He's the 4th player in Kent State history to have his jersey retired. And as his NFL journey began, he was a tweener. He wasn't tall enough for the NBA, couldn't, actually go out there and play power forward. Imagine that guy trying to box out Giannis. Good luck. But then, he tried to play football again as he played football in high school and signed with the Chargers, and the rest is literally history.
All right. I'm going to ask Matt this question, even though it should be directed at Morgan, but I think it's more fun if I ask you. Tony Gonzalez, 270 games played to Antonio Gates is 236, but Antonio Gates has more touchdowns. Do you think that's damning to Tony Gonzalez?
I that's really hard because I'll actually defend Morgan on this one. I don't think Tony Gonzalez had as consistent quarterback play as Antonio Gates did.
But Rivers had 2 quarterbacks, but Gates had 2 quarterbacks.
But that being said, you can also say this on the other side of the argument. Antonio Gates played with peak LaDainian Tomlinson, who not only took away red zone touchdowns from Antonio Gates, took away yards, took it away getting down the field. I understand it probably helped him to a degree, but there was no receiver on that team that you were doubling besides Antonio Gates, and he still got that many touchdowns.
I'm pretty sure teams doubled LaDainian Tomlinson coming out of the backfield.
No, they didn't. Nobody was doubling a pass catcher off the line of scrimmage like they were with Antonio Gates on that Chargers team. They weren't. Their receivers weren't that good enough. And
the old Shaq and Kobe double.
It is. And to that, saying it's he literally is the all-time leader in touchdowns as a tight end, not only having LaDainian Tomlinson in the backfield, but great players around him. But he was still getting doubled. He was still a matchup nightmare. So, I mean, you go back and you look through his years, probably lost out on a few touches and a few touchdowns.
A lot of his touchdowns were goal line, short touchdowns.
True, but even still, if you take away, LT's 30 touchdown year and you give 10 additional of those to Gates down at the goal line, it's another 10 touchdowns on the board for him.
I could do the same thing with the 2 years or 3 years that he had Larry Johnson in his backfield and Priest Holmes had in his backfield.
100%, you could. But
it's one hand in the other. It's the same thing.
That's the thing, though, is they both had these players around him, but Antonio Gates still scored more touchdowns in less games.
Now I'm looking at the numbers here, and Antonio Gates's career at the end seems to take a little bit of a downward dive.
100%.
What do you got to say about that?
Father Time's undefeated.
But he played less than the Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, Tony Gonzalez has longevity. He was a freak. He took care of his body clearly way better than Antonio Gates did. But, this is one of those things, if you want, it's even hard to say this, Tony Gonzalez's peak is incredible, but Antonio Gates also, his peak was also incredible.
You could almost say Tony's peak never ended, because in his last season, he had 83 catches for almost 900 yards and 8 touchdowns in his last season at age 37.
Yeah. And he had that with Matt Ryan, who at that point, Matt Ryan was still a good quarterback.
That's what I'm looking at too. His last 3 seasons, 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns,
80 catches, 93 catches,
860 yards, 875 yards.
He's the model of consistency out of a tight end. He never had a down year. He was always good.
That's not true. His rookie year, he had a lot of drops. Okay. Tony Gonzalez did. Well, they were calling him a bust in Kansas City.
Yeah, that worked. That ended well.
Correct. Ask Jason Whitlock how that ended.
A lot of drops to only become the tight end with the most receptions in NFL history.
Correct.
And the most tight end receiving yards in history. Yeah. And he's 3rd all time in total.
Yeah. And the thing is, like I said, that was the expectation for Tony Gonzalez as a 1st-round pick. Realistically, a 1st-round pick is expected to be a Hall of Famer throughout, for their entire career. That's what it's supposed to be as a 1st-round pick. You're supposed to be that generational talent. come into a franchise, and Tony Gonzalez fit that build. But the thing is with Antonio Gates, he exceeded his expectations as an undrafted rookie free agent who never played a down of fucking college football.
Now, it almost sounds like you're using the fact that he was supposed to be good and he delivered it as a bad thing.
Correct. I mean, that's the only argument I have. Like,
I've tried that argument. It hasn't worked for me.
No, it's not going to work. But
it's a fucking tough angle to be like, dude, he's supposed to be good, and he is.
He made his expectations, but expectations for Antonio Gates weren't this high, and he absolutely exceeded them, being the all-time leader in touchdowns as a tight end.
I would say Tony Gonzalez exceeded his, with his quarterback being Trent fucking Green.
Hey, Trent Green was nice back in the day, okay?
Trent Green is a bum.
You don't get into the CBS booth if you're not a good quarterback, okay? All right.
And looking at both of these dudes, not much postseason credentials.
No.
To touch on.
No.
They weren't really on good teams, and it's hard being a tight end. You can't really control a game like
Correct.
Tight ends can now.
Yeah.
Back then, it was different until like Gronk and Hernandez and all the Kittles.
R.I.P.
Yeah, but tight ends can't do. Tight ends are more versatile now than they were back then. Really, back then it was blocking, catch, catch.
Yeah, and I think these two guys are the reasons that we see tight ends the way they are today.
I definitely do think they changed it.
All right, we'll go Matt and then Morgan can go also. What do you think is the defining moment in their career?
I mean, probably being the all-time leader in touchdowns as a tight end.
Okay, that's fair. Morgan?
It's really Tony's just whole body of work of his career. Like, not miss. I mean, he didn't miss any games. He missed 2 games in his career.
That's incredible.
The 2 fumbles is pretty impressive.
The 2 fumbles, that's insane. The 15,127 yards. I mean, he's got 111 touchdowns. Like, it wasn't like he was a slouch in the touchdown category.
No, and I'm not saying that, but I mean, the fact that Antonio Gates did it in less games, something to be said about that.
He does have more touchdowns, but he has way less
receptions and receiving yards. Yeah.
Receptions.
But I mean, like, we're sitting here acting like, Antonio Gates was a slouch. He's still over 11,000 receiving yards all time. And he's at 955 receptions, which is, pretty fucking good. I mean, you look at his, stats right there. My basic math says 1 out of every 10 times he touched the ball, he scored a fucking touchdown. So not bad.
Tony's is 1 out of 12.
I mean,
either way.
Yeah. I think both these guys are the standard of tight end all time.
Yeah.
I think Tony's a little bit more the standard.
Well, for sure. I mean, but like, I don't think you get modern day tight ends like Antonio Gates. I mean, like, you don't get the modern day basketball players like Antonio Gates, like Jimmy Graham and such, like kind of, being implanted in that basketball and like turning it into a project to be, a hub. Like, both of these guys are first ballot Hall of Famers,
Yeah.
And if Antonio Gates doesn't get into the Hall of Fame first ballot, I'm going to Kane and burning that shit down myself.
Now, who do you think had more of an impact on the overall culture of the team around them?
Oh, definitely Tony.
Yeah, it's definitely Tony.
I mean,
if LT wasn't in the Chargers, it would have been probably Gates, but having LT being what he was, like, it's hard.
Larger than life figure.
Tony was the Chiefs, and he really was the Falcons when he got there too. Like, he embraced Atlanta. Yeah. Atlanta embraced him back. He turned into the face of both franchises.
Yeah. And I mean, this was one of Morgan's favorite arguments. I mean, Antonio never left, San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers, stayed with one team his entire career, just like the great Kobe Bryant, who's a top 10 player all the time.
He didn't make it to 20 years. So, it doesn't mean anything unless you hit the 20-year mark. So.
It doesn't? No, it does, Morgan. Shut the fuck up.
I don't know. Look at the guys who played 20 years. Jeter, Kobe. I think 20 years is the model.
Such a
Paul Pierce reached 20?
No, that bum. And he also played Brooklyn.
Then fuck him. Go shake your pants again.
and with the Wizards and with the Clippers. Dude, what an embarrassing moment. Really quick off topic when Draymond Green's sitting there yelling at Paul Pierce on the floor saying, you thought they loved you like Kobe?
That's fucked up.
Just telling him that he ain't Kobe is incredible. Wait, you thought it was a fucking farewell tour? Fuck out of here, bum.
Paul Pierce would be that fucking idiot to be like, no, I'm not Kobe, I'm Paul Pierce. People be like, we don't give a shit.
You're not wrong.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, congrats. All right. I've heard enough. Not really. I haven't heard enough, but still.
It's just-
Do you guys have any other tidbits that you think could sway your argument?
Not sway my argument. I just want to talk about how good of a guy Antonio Gates is off the field as well. He's got the Mr. Gates Foundation. So when he was in San Diego, it impacted San Diego. He also went back to his home of Detroit, Michigan, which we all know Detroit is a wonderful place to go in the winter.
I have a vacation home there.
He had an annual event called Shop with a Charger event for underprivileged children, which, I mean, you can't beat that. Sure to Cure HD, a free throw shooting event that raised money for Huntington's Disease Society, and then a annual free football camp in Detroit for the urban youth, which is awesome. And then him and his wife also had a project together that they would provide high quality wigs for women surviving hair loss from catastrophic illnesses.
I'm just picturing him bringing some kid in Detroit out to get like super nice clothes and shoes, and then that kid gets fucking bugged and beat to shit when he goes back to school. So
Jesus Christ.
It's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Morgan, what has Tony Gonzalez done to the community, if anything?
I mean, what hasn't Tony done? This man, he's an actor. He's an author.
He's an actor?
Yeah, he was in Triple X Return to Xander Cage.
Oh, I mean, this argument's over. I don't know why I didn't leave with that.
I mean, he's got multiple charities. He's got one in Kansas City, a cleaning service that goes around Kansas City and cleans up all the streets and stuff, and
So they
debris and trash.
So by the streets, you mean he's a cleaner, like when the mob kills somebody.
I've never seen a picture of a dirty Kansas City street, so he's got to be doing something right.
Also, a cool little thing I learned about him. So he was having dinner at a restaurant with his girlfriend that is now dating Jeffrey Bezos.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, imagine you leave and you're like, you'll never find anybody better, and she dates the richest man of all time. You're like,
Well, nice play.
She just goes, "Fuck you, doctor."
But anyways, they were out to dinner, and he saw another man choking at a table, and he went over and saved his life. He gave him the Heimlich maneuver and saved his life.
and she still left him for Jeff Bezos.
Jeffrey.
She's like, "Fuck you, Tony Gonzalez. I'll write your name.
Money talks.
I'll write your name in the steam from a spaceship, bro."
I mean, he also competed against Ray Lewis in Spike Lee's lip sync battle, but
Spike
Lewis.
Lee's lip sync battle.
I mean,
that's what it's called. But Ray Lewis murdered the competition, so Tony didn't win.
There's one thing that I
He doesn't
can
like.
say.
Ray Lewis doesn't like to talk about it much. Though.
There's one little jab I have left for Morgan here, which I don't know if he has a response to. Tony Gonzalez has not married his longtime girlfriend that he has multiple kids with. Antonio Gates is a married man. One guy can commit, one guy can't commit.
They're married in their eyes. They don't have the legal certificate.
Oh, so you just don't want to put it in writing? So are you married?
How long have they been together? Is it common law marriage at this
13 years? I don't know. They got 2 kids.
Anything in writing?
No, they did.
He's probably nervous she'd divorce him and go to hang out with Elon Musk. I've made a decision, and I don't think it should come as any surprise. It's Tony Gonzalez. I just think the longevity and just the complete consistency across his career and really never having a down point is just like a testament to him as a player. So Antonio Gates it's a good argument. I mean, Morgan even said he didn't even touch on the records.
Yeah.
No, I was just getting to I didn't even touch on the records. One part of it is I don't really like Tony Gonzalez as much as I like Antonio Gates, but I'm not going to say that until he announced the winner. I definitely like Antonio Gates way more, but just the consistency, like most seasons with 70 plus receptions, he had 11.
Yeah, I mean, I like
consecutively.
Damn, I should have let you take Gates. I would have took Tony Gonzalez easy. No, I mean, I expected this. I mean, I was behind it. My thing was expectations, just Antonio Gates exceeding expectations with not having, I mean, undrafted free agents barely have a pot to piss in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Jeffrey Bezos got Tony Gonzalez sloppy seconds. So
boom, 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 boom.
I shouldn't say that. He's got a child with that one. But
there you have it.
There you have it, folks. Cool. All right. Anything else we want to say before we get out of here? Because these guys are hearing this Monday morning. I don't have the date in front of me. I'm not going to pretend I know what the date's going to be. We got these playoff games this weekend. Let's just run through it really quick. Actually, we already talked about the Packers game. Bengals Titans. Who we got? Let's do the pick 'em.
I'll take the Bengals.
Bengals.
Bengals podcast. I mean, can you get any cooler than Joe Burrow?
No, and it's really because I just want to see the Bills host an AFC Championship game.
Oh, well, let's get right into it. Chiefs Bills. Who we got?
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
And also, you guys keep talking. I'll be back in 2 seconds. My tenant upstairs is locked out of his house.
Okay.
So.
Well, hold on. Uno momento, por favor. I can just pause. We are back from our brief break here for our last 3 minutes of the podcast.
The anticipation. I know.
We were on the Chiefs Bills. Who we got?
Chiefs.
I think the Bills have the swagger this year. I think the Bills are going to beat them handily.
Really?
I think they're going to, I think the Bills are going to dominate them.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. We already talked about the Packers game. Let's go to the other NFC game. Bucks Rams. Who we got? Morgan, you go first. Morgan, go first.
I mean, you break it down. Do you trust Matthew Stafford or do you trust Tom Brady? Like, it's pretty easy. You trust Matthew Stafford, the Rams are going to win.
That's why I want him to go first. I got the Bucks.
I got the Bucks.
I mean, I'm not betting against Tom Brady. Couldn't be me. All right.
No, I actually want the Bucks to win because I want Green Bay to play Tampa.
Morgan's like, bring him in. Well,
I want a revenge.
I will say it here on the podcast. I really hope the Packers win this weekend. I can't deal with you and Jack being miserable for an entire fucking year again. I've done my service. You guys need a Super Bowl. I'm all set with them losing again. So on that note, I don't have anything else. You guys have anything else?
They'll be hearing this Monday, so I mean, it sucks that the Packers lost, but on to next year.
Yeah, on to next year. Nick, enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
Boom.
All right, go Pack, go.